Hi, good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining today. Welcome back after the Thanksgiving break for those of you in the U.S. who are celebrating. I am really happy today to have my guest, Liren Chen, who is the president and CEO since April of 21 of InterDigital. InterDigital develops mobile and video technologies that are sort of working at the core of devices, networks, and services globally. It's a company that's been around for a while. They were founded in 1972, but they have licenses and strategic relationships with some of the world's leading technology companies. I'll actually say most of the world's leading technology companies. And I want to say welcome and thanks for joining us, Liren.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Again, belated happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Karen, thank you for having me. I'm very, very delighted to be here.
Terrific. Thank you. So maybe we could start. You could just give maybe a little bigger overview than what I just did of InterDigital, and also talk a little bit about your vision as CEO, your vision for the company.
Yes. So InterDigital was founded in 1972. So we celebrated our 50-year anniversary last year. And the company was founded, and we were involved in building the very first wireless system in the world. So
Oh,
we have
wow.
been involved in building every single generation of the cellular technology. We currently use, the 5G technology, and we are frankly working on the latest generation for it. We are also working on advanced technology for video delivery, and video is super important to user experience. And 80% of the internet traffic is driven by video, both from streaming services as well as from interactive services.
Mhm.
And we are also a pioneer in AI and machine learning research. So combining all this effort, we are actually one of the largest pure research institution in the world, not just in our industry. And our technology is used in billions and billions of devices and frankly services. And just think of that way here. If you have a device that's wirelessly connected, either through
Mhm.
cellular connectivity or through Wi-Fi connectivity, you are using our technology. If you have a screen and with a display that shows and runs and captures video,
Mhm.
you are using our technology. And going forward, if you have an intelligence devices that's figure out how to intelligently connect with everything else, and chances are using our technology. And our technology are in the many devices, billions and billions of devices worldwide. And equally important, our technology is supported for a lot of cloud-based services. And because the industry is increasingly putting more value in the service,
Mm.
so devices, so our technology enable all the devices and services. In terms of people, we have some of the smartest people in our industry, and very, very happy to say we are a company of inventors. And
Inventors.
most of our employees are engineers and scientists, and out of those people, 90%, 90%, 90% of them are inventors. So we probably have the highest concentration of creative inventors in our industry. So it's super, super exciting to come to work every day,
Yeah.
speak and talk to some of the best people in our industry. So that's very, very
Yeah.
exciting.
I love this. It's one of the reasons, frankly, that I like to do these interviews is I learn so much. But I'm thrilled to know that I have InterDigital all around me here in my life with what you've described, and that there are successful, commercially successful, almost pure research companies left in the world that are doing so well, and you've been able to do it now for decades. So thank you for the overview of what the company is currently doing. Can you talk a little bit about what your focus is for the coming, say maybe the coming year or so?
Absolutely. So the foundation of our company is always about technology development.
Mm.
We focus on some of the most difficult, some of the most fundamental problems in the system. So just try to give you a couple of examples here, right? In wireless system, fundamentally, it's always about spectrum usage. It's about
Mm.
how do you get the most reliable, efficient usage out of this one thing that cannot be reproduced, which is the wireless, frequency spectrum,
Right.
if you would. So in that context here, our engineers work on multiple decades on, pushing the envelope to make it faster, more reliable, and increasingly with lower latency, which is the delay
Mm.
between
Right.
sending signals. That's super important. On the video side, increasingly it's about immersive user experience. It's not about staring at the screen anymore. It's really about integrating sensors,
Mm,
connectivity, and a very high resolution with very low latency when people turn their head for gaming, entertainment, and also for a lot of productivities. Engineers will be wearing those AR, VR goggles to troubleshoot airplane engines, for example.
mhm,
So there's a lot of use cases depending on very, very intelligent use of connectivity and frankly, very, very integrated use of video with this immersive user experience. On top of everything, we are adding AI and machine learning capability, which again, wireless, video, and AI are three pillars of research, combining them to change people's world in consumer,
mm.
enterprise, as well as very broad use cases here. It's super exciting. It's actually we are happy to be in that period of time. Our technology is more important than ever, and our
Yeah,
engineers are doing groundbreaking work. So it's super
yeah,
exciting. 2024
yeah,
will come to be a
yeah,
very, very exciting year for us.
yeah. And what exciting projects for people to work on. I mean, you're describing part of that was augmented reality. I know when my car gets worked on, for example, there's some augmented reality going on when anything really serious breaks with the technicians. So it's coming and it's all around us now. I just want to highlight that earlier this month you released your financial results for third quarter 23. And you had total revenue of 140.1 million, and that was a 22% increase, if my research is anywhere near correct, and an astonishing 116% year-over-year net income. So again, congratulations on strong financial results. And you also announced big deals this year with both Amazon and Apple. Could you talk a bit about both of those?
Yes. So first of all, thank you for your compliments for our financial performance. I mean,
Yes,
we work extraordinarily hard. Obviously, there's a lot of macro challenges in terms of global economic
of
environment,
course.
but we are blessed with extraordinarily dedicated employees, and we have a very, very strong leadership team. Work super hard to deliver the result. So it's awesome to see the result being recognized by our shareholders. On the relationship side, we have some of the longest lasting and most strategic relationship with some of the largest vendors. Let me try to break it down here. So our Apple relationship goes all the way to 2007, and
Mhm.
before Apple released the very first iPhone. So we were able to renew that agreement for multiple times, including our latest renewal, which happened, near end of last year,
Mm.
where we renewed a long-term relationship with Apple, where they have agreed to sign a license agreement for our technology broadly all the way to 2029. So
Mm.
which is, so 6 more years from now.
Yeah.
So we value Apple's relationship tremendously. They are one of our most important customer, but we also deliver a lot of value to them on wireless connectivity, video, and as well as our AI capability. Our Amazon relationship is relatively new. Amazon is a very large company, obviously extremely successful. Our relationship with them is primarily focused on the IoT space, Internet of
Mm.
Things. So therefore, it's a new relationship we really value, but it's also a recognition of our different type of connectivity in Wi-Fi space primarily.
Mm. Wow. Um, I'm just thinking of organizations and how thrilled they would be to have the kinds of long-term relationships with their customers that you are describing, especially in the field of technology innovation, because that's something that's hard to sustain. I mean, I'm beginning to think of InterDigital like a sort of a Bell Labs or something where it's it's sort of the core competency is just it's it's incredible to me that you've been able to sustain that for so many years through so many technology changes. How do you manage a team through this kind of rapid growth? In particular, how do you manage inventors and creatives, which you say some 90% of your organization is made up of?
Yeah. So you and I discussed this before. So leadership is mainly all about people.
Mm,
So we as an organization put a lot of effort into number one, recruiting the best possible candidate. We recruit from some of the leading universities. We partner with them through internship programs, through collaborations, and we have broad relationships with a number of universities across the world. And then once we recruit some of the smartest engineers, and we frankly invest in them tremendously. Uh, Not everyone is born to be an inventor. Some of them are frankly, more trained at the university to be, doing the fundamental research work.
Mm,
And we part them with very experienced inventor in our company. We have a very good inventorship mentoring program. And what inventorship very often is misunderstood. It's being perceived as an individual, genius working in the basement type of scenario. In modern companies, mentorship is really a team sport.
mhm,
People work collaboratively in a project context. So having a very established reputation in the industry allows us to recruit some of the smartest, PhD graduates into the company, but putting them together as a team, train them with experience inventor we already have, elevate them up, and giving them the freedom, giving them the support, giving them the career path where they
mm.
can be more successful. It's really, really, really important. It's something that I work on every single day, and I absolutely do not take it for granted. But so far, our reputation, our continuous success has been a very, very important factor to our company's success.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, uh, congratulations again to having such an engaged workforce because you've put systems around them to help support that.
Yeah, thank you.
Um, yeah, so let's talk a little bit about the company, the focus of the company. So I know that you're an innovator in cellular wireless technologies, and I was hoping you could talk a little bit about the current impact of 5G. I'm going to say finally, because we've been hearing about 5G for a long time, and maybe finally now we're getting some impact.
Yeah.
And then what you see is the likely evolution or what the next step would be beyond 5G or 6G, if you will.
Yep.
I think you're in a unique position to do this given the history of the organization in innovation and cellular wireless.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, 5G, first of all, I want to start with to see 5G has been an enormous commercial success, uh, especially in the smartphone space. If you compare the adoption of 5G compared to 3G, 4G, it has been faster adoption in the smartphone space than 3G and 4G. A vast majority of the phones currently sold on the market are 5G enabled. That's true in US, that's true in Europe, that's frankly true in China and India around the world. So it has been very, very successful, even though the carrier support for 5G takes time to build up, right?
Mm,
Because carrier has to upgrade the network. I mean, it's depending on where they are, depending on density of the network. So there are a number of parameters coming in picture. So that's a starting space. The current technology we're working on and in our industry is named 5G Advanced. It's actually about making 5G better suited for non-smartphone use cases. I'll give you some example.
mm,
So, for example, it's about making cars connected, based on cellular technology, and it has different requirement. I mean, instead of being able to making phone calls and pumping more videos or even navigation, it's about making the connectivity super reliable and making the latency, as I referred to earlier,
mm,
much, much shorter than before. So hopefully one day we can use cellular technology for use cases such as autonomous vehicle driving.
mm,
So that's one particular use case people work on very hard on. And on the flip side, though, it's also about connecting many, many devices, billions and billions of devices, everything around you into the network, making them, reliable, making the network having enormous amount of capacity, and that can be used for a number of different use cases. Smart city, smart agriculture, smart manufacturing. So we are barely scratching the surface
mm,
for the non-smartphone use case that people have been working on quite a while. I mean, our engineer has been working on those technology for the last 5 to 10 years, but it's very exciting to see the industry started developing them into standard, and hopefully there will be wide adoption of them in the next few years.
mm.
And between now and the sort of end of the decade, it's about 5G advanced adoption. Then near the end of decades, it's about 6G. Six is next generation evolution or revolution of the wireless technology. So in that context, it's really about integrating artificial intelligence into the core of the network. And it's about making the network safer, make it more reliable, and make it connected all the time. And so that's super exciting, but it's a bit scary. I know there's a lot of discussion on securities, AIs, will the machine be smarter than human beings? So luckily, our engineers is the center of this evolution, and some of them is actually taking leadership roles in our industry development of this technology.
Mm, yeah. Well, let's pull on that thread for a minute. So, what impact is AI, particularly, um, let me say this out loud instead of just the acronym, artificial intelligence markup language, so AIML,
Yep.
what impact does that have on your innovation?
AI has very drastic impact to our industry. I'll provide a few sort of angles for that comments here. Number one, we have been working on AI for quite a bit. I mean, actually more
Mm,
than a decade. So obviously, there's a lot of chat GPTs and the application service level dominate the media and attention in the last, maybe a year or two here. But the approach of taking intelligence into solving the wireless problem, into solving the video problem, folks have been working on it for quite a while, including our engineers. We have an AI research center in Bay Area. We have some of the best engineers working on these problems, and fundamentally try to make the network connectivity as smart as possible, as humanly adjustable as possible. So each consumer will have a customized user experience depending on how you use the service, how to use the network. So
mhm,
that's a very large research area. We work on the fundamental infrastructure for the system. On the flip side, though, we are also trying to build a system to be better infrastructure for AI use case. For example, AI is very largely dependent on having very computational heavy use
mm,
case. It's based on processing and sending a vast amount of data for trainings or for live
mm,
processing. So in order to do so, you need a very reliable network. You need a network provide a lot of speed and provide a lot of bandwidth, provide a lot of reliability. So back to my earlier comments about making wireless network better in all these fronts. So we are building a system better for AI use case. We are using AI to build a better system. So they actually goes hands in hands for us.
mm. That's great. Um, I want to switch now and talk a little bit about you specifically as a leader, because I know that a lot of the people who are watching are interested in leadership and leadership style. Um, I have a thread I want to pull around the word curiosity. I've talked to many CEOs over the past few years, and it seems like curiosity plays a great role in the leadership style of successful people. And I would imagine that's even more important at the head of an innovation company like InterDigital. Could you talk a little bit about the role that curiosity plays in your leadership style?
Yes, curiosity is a huge part of my core strengths, if you would. It's also what drives me to be where I am today. Just a little bit background here.
Yeah.
I grew up in China, and I went to college in Beijing. That's a long time ago. And then afterwards, I came to US for grad school. That's almost exactly 30 years ago. And my core field is in engineering. I was majored in
Mm,
electrical engineering. And afterwards, I graduated. I went to work at Qualcomm in San Diego for as a software engineer. And
as an engineer.
that's again almost 30 years ago here. When I was working on it, I was initially working on network management software, and then my curiosity took me into the research branch of Qualcomm, where I was focusing on system engineering work. I was fortunate enough to work on the very first and second generation of wireless system. At that time, it's about videos, it's about audio, it's about text messaging. And over time, when 3G comes, I was fortunate enough to work on the very first project to put internet into phones. At that time, that was a very novel concept. And so in this context here, but I also always had broad interest. I was interested to see, I was an inventor at Qualcomm, but I wanted to see how the legal system works. And then
Mhm.
fortunately enough, Qualcomm sent me to law school, so I pursued a law degree on the side. And then Qualcomm also sponsored me to go to business school. So I got an MBA degree in that process. So the whole journey of learning, not just in technology only, but in the integration of technology with law, which is the core field of IP, intellectual property,
Mm,
and also try to have curiosity in the business side. In the end, because you do need to provide revenue that you can reinvest back into the R&D side. And to a certain degree, the lifeblood for the company is about investing in people and frankly investing money and recreating, shareholder value. All those efforts, with hindsight, the funny thing is at the time you're learning them, you are curious about new field. Only
Right.
with hindsight, you piece them together, you say, aha, those are the pieces you're putting together like a jigsaw puzzle. And you say,
Mm.
okay, all those different pieces you have learned, working on technology, legal system, business side, and most important, working with people with very different background, different field of expertise. It's a journey I'm on, and which continue to be what motivates me to learn every day from the smart people I'm working with. Frankly, work with industry expert like yourself, and also to engage our customers, engage our investors. That's a journey that's frankly never end, and that's
Right.
that's really exciting piece of my job. So
Yeah, it's wonderful. Did you start managing and leading people in the engineering field when you were an engineer, and then sort of move to larger and larger or more impactful assignments after that?
I did. I was very fortunate. I was working for a very large engineering company where they have a
Mm.
fairly well-established program in Qualcomm to train engineers who has the ambition, the desire, and also who has the basic skill set to be a manager. So I was my very first managing job was in 1999. I was in my late 20s. I was fortunate enough to be leading a fairly small engineering team in software team, and then my career grew from there. And you start with a manager of the team, and then
Mm.
luckily the company gave me more opportunity, and frankly I learned more and built my leadership skills. I was promoted from that stage over the next 20 years. So that's
Yeah,
that's
it's
very, very
great.
exciting.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's wonderful. I always like to tell first-time managers that everyone started as a first-time manager, and none of us were, or I'll say almost none of us were very good at it right out of the box. Right? We
Yeah.
we had to learn as we went, and it as you say, it depends a lot on the team that you're leading. I wanted to end today, Liren, with a question that I like to ask all my guests, which is the tagline for my consulting business is up and to the right, because that's the spot on the 2x2 matrix where we always want to be. Was there a moment in your career as a leader when you knew that you were moving up and to the right, when you knew that you were going to be successful as a leader?
Yeah, that's a great question. So my short answer is it's very often you have a feel, but you can never be certain.
Mm.
And so I'll try to explain here, right? So I get asked this question or similar question quite a bit, either during interview or in my interview process as candidate here. I always boil it down to three things here. I said, number one, in order to be successful, you got to be very, very, very passionate about your job. Right?
Mm.
You got to be good at it. Right? You learn, you go to the right school, get the right degree, spend the time and effort. But ideally, you make the right choice to go to a field that hopefully what you are creating is very widely adopted, it's impactful, it's useful to people, to wide audience, right? That's find the right field, having an impactful contribution. And also, you keep on working, like the curiosity thing we just described here. It's a never-ending process. You try to be better at it and try to be good at it. But I already mentioned impact. Impact is hugely important. It's very
Mm.
often overlooked, particularly in large companies, by the way. But it's also true in a company our size here. It's end of the day, you got to recognizing what you're working on, what you're producing. It's making an impact to the company, it's making an impact to your customers, and ideally making an impact to a broader consumer base.
Mm.
So at InterDigital, that's something I feel very, very passionate about. And that's really what I want to enable people who choose to join our journey here to be successful in this field.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, I can see why you've been successful and how you're leading your company to be successful. So, thank you again, Liren, for joining us today. I really appreciate your time and sharing your thoughts and learned wisdom with us around leadership. So, wishing the best for you and your team.
Karen, thank you for having me. I very much enjoyed our discussion, and